Hello and welcome our viewers and listeners to our Saturday, March 19, 2022 program. This is Shimelis Gebremichael with UMD News Package for today. We invite you all to stay with the program, and for your feedbacks, please use our email address newstips2020umd@gmail.com. UMD extensively work in understanding, measuring, and doing matters. Our news team attempts to update you with the latest in Ethiopia, the Horn, Africa, and the world in general. Any of your support, including the provision of news tips, comments, questions, and suggestions, is always welcomed. Before we jump into our news package today, here are the headlines for the major news of the last couple of days. Abuna Matias expresses his condolence and condemns Tigrayan's extrajudicial killing. 23 Ethiopian government officials reportedly under investigation. WHO chief says there is world's worst health crisis in Ethiopia. UN OCHA is also alerting that drought continue to ravage livelihoods in the country. We will look this story in more detail later. In this edition, we also have a breaking news today. Now we will move into providing more information on these and other news items. As we always say, please do not forget to like and share our programs and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also view our programs in other platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Dear viewers and listeners, before we jump into our news package today, we have a breaking news. The long-awaited negotiation between the government of Ethiopia and the Tigray government is reportedly moving forward right now. So, according to UMD media sources, both parties are entering into agreement on a number of issues, including cessation of hostilities, unhindered humanitarian deliveries, and restoring all basic services such as telecom and Tigray. Critics who spoke to UMD media are, however, asking to be cautious given Abiy Ahmed may be entering into this agreement to ease the pressure on his government to ease the from the potential adoption of HR 6600. UMD Media will bring you more information as we follow up this developing story. So we'll now move into the first chapter of our news. We'll look into the news in brief. Abuna Matias expresses his condolence and condemns Tigrayan's extrajudicial killing. Patriarch of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church Catholicos of Ethiopia, Archbishop of Aksum and Ichege of the See of St. Tekla Haymanot, His Holiness Abuna Matias I, expressed his deepest condolence over the killing of Tigrayans. The Patriarch also condemned the catastrophic extrajudicial killing of Tigrayans in Benishangul Gumuz capital, Metakel. His Holiness described the act as the most horrific that never happened in the history of humankind, recalling past acts of violence and massacres in the country in general and Tigray in particular. Abuna Matias said, "What has started and planned to wipe Tigray has now spread all over the country. There is no prosperity in the country, but rather chaos, lawlessness, and human sufferings. In his rare appearance in the public to express his view due to alleged dominance of church officials and church and government officials, His Holiness called upon all parties for such rampant, horrific acts to end once and for all. It's been over 500 days now since the Tigray genocide officially declared by the Ethiopian government. It has now claimed over 500,000 people of Tigray. And Tigray is currently in siege, which continues on right now, and the suffering of the people could increase and claim more lives. Migrations, detentions, extrajudicial killings, hunger, and famine are also becoming rampant in the country. 23 Ethiopian government officials reportedly under investigation. A day after the ruling Prosperity Party completed his first party congress, there are reports that 23 high and junior level officials are under investigation over what seems like alleged corruption. Wazema Radio cited the information from anonymous sources from the Criminal Investigation Department of the Office of Prosecutor General to make claims that 23 officials are said to have hidden wealth with unverified sources. The Commission has been registering the assets of government officials for well over a year now. Government offices that are vulnerable to corruption, as the government thinks, were the primary focus for the Ethics and Anti Corruption Commission. Cash, residential houses, land, and vehicles are among the alleged wealth that is to be investigated for corruption. The Minister of Justice, Gideon Timotheos, reportedly said that there is ample evidence for crime, not just a tip from the public. Based on the report from Wazema, the office seems to have tapped into access to information from financial institutions, government offices to verify the evidence. According to a Wazema radio report, the Corruption Crimes Directorate within the Office of the Prosecutor General will investigate the alleged corruption. The list of officials involved in the alleged corruption is undisclosed as the investigation is still underway. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed disclosed in his latest appearance at the Ethiopian Parliament that those of us who are not stealing should not be bad mouthed because of the thieves in the government. Meanwhile, rights body says Ethiopia arrests former government officials from Tigray. The head of the state-appointed Human Rights Commission said yesterday Ethiopian authorities have detained several senior officials from Tigray. Daniel Bekele, chief commissioner of the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, did not name the officials and declined the comment on the reason for the arrest. We know about the arrest of at least 8, he told Reuters, adding that some of the prisoners had been sent to Tigray's neighboring region of Afar. According to Reuters, the spokesman for Ethiopian Justice Minister Gideon Timotheos, Federal Police spokesman Gillian Abdi, and Afar Regional spokesman Ahmed Koloita did not immediately respond to requests for comments. The lawyer and the source said 12 Tigrayan officials and an activist and another man were arrested in a series of raids on March 7 and 8. Those detained include Aberra Nugus, the former head of Tigray's Justice Bureau. Others include a member of Abiy's ruling party, Prosperity Party. Aid groups say the conflict has split millions. The United Nations has said at least 15,000 Tigrayan civilians were arrested or imprisoned across Ethiopia under the state of emergency declared in November last year and lifted last month. Police have denied targeting Tigrayans due to their ethnicity. In a similar development, Prime Minister appoints former anti-corruption deputy civil service commissioner. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed appointed Tsegga Aragi as the Deputy Commissioner of the Civil Service Commission. Tsegga was the Commissioner of the Federal Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, replacing the former Commissioner Ayeling Mulalam 2 years ago. The Prime Minister also appointed Dr. Neguse Metiku as the Director General of the Ethiopian Management Institute. Tsagga was appointed by the Ethiopian House of People's Representatives, with 11 MPs voting in a position, while 6 MPs of the 285 in attendance or abstained from voting. This comes a day after the online radio reported government officials, ranging from senior and lower ranking, are being investigated for allegedly hiding assets of inconspicuous sources. According to the report, the Attorney General's office found an unregistered large amount of assets, including cash, while looking into the Federal Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission's list of registered assets owned by government officials. US charged DFS asked Amhara state president to actively support movement of aid and peaceful resolution to Ethiopian civil war. The United States charged DFS in Ethiopia. Ambassador Tracy Jacobson visited regional recovery and humanitarian assistance efforts in Bahir Dar. During her visit, she met with Amhara regional state president Dr. Yilik Al-Kafala and spoke with beneficiaries of the US-funded programs at Bahir Dar University. During her meeting with the president, Ambassador Jacobson reiterated the U.S. commitment to all Ethiopians and called for peaceful resolution to the conflict, unhindered humanitarian crisis access, and transparent justice mechanisms to hold accountable those who have committed human rights abuses. She asked the president to actively support the movement of aid in the region. Ambassador Jacobson pledged continued support from the United States towards the region's recovery, including direct humanitarian aid for those displaced by the conflict and peaceful resolutions. A statement from the embassy said in 2021, the U.S. helped nearly 3.8 million people in the region with life saving food assistance and allocated nearly $900 million worth of aid to Ethiopia. UN extends South Sudan peacekeeping mission for 1 year. The UN Security Council recently voted to prolong its peacekeeping mission in South Sudan for 1 more year. The Council's 13 other members all voted in favor of the resolution, which extends the UN mission in South Sudan until March 15, 2023, at its current level of deployment. The maximum number of UN peacekeeping soldiers for UN mission in South Sudan is set at 17,000, with an additional 2,100 police officers. The operation is one of the most expensive for the UN, with an annual budget surpassing $1 billion. China indicated that it was in favor of the extension, but though abstain because the United States insists on including human rights in the resolution's text. The resolution states that the goal of the peacekeeping mission is to prevent a return to civil war in South Sudan, to build durable peace at the local and national levels, and to support inclusive and accountable governance, free, fair, and peaceful elections. The UN warned in February, with less than a year to go before the election, South Sudan risks sliding back into war. The world's youngest country has experienced a chronic instability since gaining independence from Sudan in 2011. Between 2013 and 2018, it descended into a bloody civil war between arch enemies Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, which left nearly 400,000 dead and millions displaced. And now we'll move into the one story we have chosen to present to you in more details for today. That is, WHO chief says world's worst health crisis is in Ethiopia. UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, that is UN OCHA, also released Northern Ethiopia current updates. It says drought ravages livelihood in Ethiopia. The head of the World Health Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the situation in Tigray, from where he hails, was catastrophic, saying the region has been sealed off from the outside world for about 500 days. Tedros told the press briefing no food aid has been delivered since the middle of December, and about three-quarters of health facilities assessed by WHO in the region had been destroyed. He said there was no treatment for about 40,000 people with HIV in the region. Tedros said, "Yes, I am from Tigray, and this crisis affects me, my family, and my friends very personally. But I, the Director General of WHO, I have a duty to protect and promote health whatever it is under threat. And there is nowhere on earth where the health of millions of people is more under threat than Tigray." Tudor says the UN Health Agency had now documented 43 attacks on healthcare workers and facilities in Ukraine since the Russian invasion began last month. WHO has now opened supply lines to many cities in Ukraine, but Tedros said the crisis in Ukraine was far from the only crisis to which WHO is responding. It is to be recalled that earlier this year, the government of Ethiopia sent a letter to the World Health Organization accusing Tedros of misconduct after his sharp criticism of the war and humanitarian crisis in the country. Meanwhile, UN OCHA said measles cases continue to be reported since December 2011 in Dolo and Bokolo-Moyo districts in Ethiopia's Somali region, with about 700 new cases and 12 deaths recorded as of March 3. It was noted that the measles outbreak affected 15 localities. The office said drought ravaged livelihood in Ethiopia. In its weekly highlights, OCHA noted, with the Meher planting season a month away, only 4,000 tons of improved seed of 49,000 tons required is available in Tigray. Thanks to the batch received through UNHAS, 117,870 animals were vaccinated during the reporting period, and 2.93 million were vaccinated since 7th of July 2021 in Tigray, OCHA said. According to the office, only 5 of 100 large rubber tents required in Jara IDP site in North Wello Zone, Amhara regional state are in place. Additional plastic sheets are also required, 150,000 IDPs to be relocated there. In addition, 11 schools are sheltering IDPs in Afdera and Kori Waredas in Afar, and an additional 198 schools remain closed due to insecurity, impacting more than 48,000 children. Well, with that, we come to an end of the news for today. This has been Shimelis Marasa Gebremichael here at UMD Media. Please do not forget to like and share our program and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow our programs through our other platforms as well, including Facebook and LinkedIn, and be the first to know what's going on in Ethiopia, the Horn, Africa in general, and the world. You can easily reach us via our email address, newstips2020umd at gmail.com. Thank you for watching and have a good one.